Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at a shoot that I just did with Diana in downtown Austin. I shot one roll of Kodak Portra 400 and I also did some digital photography, kind of mixed it up a little bit. Now we're going to go over both sets of these images and I'll give you my notes on what I think is noteworthy. All right, first the digital images, and then we're going to get to the film shots, okay? So let's start here. All right, this first set of images was shot with this Canon 7D. It's a pretty old camera, I'd say about 9 or 10 years old. And I've got a Sigma 1.4 50 millimeter on it. And it's not the art lens, this is a discontinued lens, but it works pretty well. It does a good job. I'm using ISO 100, aperture priority, and I'm shooting at 2.8. That's f2.8. So using aperture priority, the shutter speed just took care of itself. And I noticed looking at the EXIF data that the shutter speeds range from 1/320th of a second to 1/4000th of a second. So it's a pretty wide range there. Now I'm shooting in RAW mode and that should be a given. All right, so let's take a look at the selected photos. The rest were just kind of throwaway, but we have a good selection here, about 36 photos. I don't shoot a lot. I don't shoot like thousands of photos during a photo shoot. I'm pretty conservative as far as how much I'm going to shoot and how long I'm going to shoot. And so this was a pretty quick shoot. So we'll start with this one. All right, now before we get into this, I just want to tell you that the digital shots were shot after the film shots. So you're going to see some photos that once we kind of got warmed up. We warmed into the shoot. But that just brings something to mind. Now, Diana was just amazing to shoot with, and but she was a little nervous. She admitted to me she was a little bit nervous before the shoot and a little during the shoot. And I just wanted to mention something about that, okay? Everybody gets nervous, at least a little bit nervous. Everybody gets nervous in front of the camera. But there are two kinds of looks you're going to get when somebody's really nervous, all right? You're either going to get the petrified look or you're going to get this sort of excited, giggly, fun vibe, right? And that's going to come across in the pictures. Fortunately, this was the latter. We got exciting, giggly, fun, goofy pictures, and that's just what she wanted, and that's what I wanted. The petrified look, that's where you kind of get the deer in headlights look, and that's just it's a lot harder to work with. On that front, things worked out really well. I should mention that these were mostly taken in a grassy area, sort of a grassy field, a park area in downtown Austin. And one thing that always drives me crazy is when you've got grass and trees and everything's so green, your ambient light is going to have that green tint about it, right? And that's going to show up on the skin. You don't want green on skin, right? So you've got to deal with that in some way, and you're usually going to deal with that by color correcting things in post a little bit and sort of compensating for that green tint to everything. But I think we dealt with that all right. Now, I haven't really done a lot of editing to these photos. I'm just showing you what came out of the camera with minimal adjustments in Lightroom. So let's get started here, and I'll give you my thoughts. All right, so we're in the shade under some trees, and you'll see in a few minutes this follows the roll of film that we shot, and so we just kind of continued. We ended the roll of film under the trees, and we just kind of continued from there with the digital. So I got some close-ups. Now, Diana's doing a lot of Instagram stuff under the name My Wilder Life. I'll link to that in the description below. So we messed around with that Instagram kind of look, and we did a few fun shots with that over here. I mean, in a way, it just seems like digital and Instagram, at least sort of the lifestyle, fashion Instagram accounts, they're sort of made for each other. And so I think all these turned out fun and nice and colorful. Little pop of color with that purse there. I had her stand up on this. This is sort of a large picnic table in the middle of the park. Pretty cool looking. All right, so she got up there, and what's cool about this, you see, we're just playing around with some movement. What's cool about this is that table is so white and bright that you're getting that extra white ambient, sort of bounce off of the ambient light and the sun coming up. So we did a lot of fun shots like that, and you can see where that reflection off of that table is really adding to the light coming in from below. So we were done with those shots. I wanted to play with the sunglasses a little bit, so we went over to, there's an elevated train track just inside the park, and so we went underneath that elevated train track. You have these big like stone concrete supports underneath there, and so I just had Diana stand up there, halfway in the sun, halfway in the shade. I wanted to get that sort of that little, you know, flare reflection off of the sunglasses, so we did that. Now I'm thinking about this and wondering if a tighter crop would be nice. If we went something like this. Let's see what this looks like. You know, something like that. But I also like the feel and the lines of this wider shot, and I'm angling it here a little bit. And then so we moved just to the outside of this train track support. I'm using that sun behind her, and we're just playing, just trying to get some cool shots. So this is the last set that we did, and I really like this. But there's these things that, again, something that just really drives you crazy after the fact, because you realize that you just weren't paying attention. This is a really good shot. I like this shot. I like everything about it, but look down here. Look right here. Why wasn't I paying attention to the feet? The edge of the photo meets the feet. I wish I had just a little more room between the bottom of the feet and the edge of the shot. Something more like this would have worked. I think I would have preferred this even a little wider. So again, just having fun. When people just let go a little bit in front of the camera, you're going to get all sorts of good stuff that way. And here we go, some final shots. Oh, wanted to mention, I'm always saying this, blur. Why are people so afraid of blurry photos? This is like, I like this photo, it's blurry, but you know, let's see, what was this? 1/60th of a second, so I understand why it's blurry. You know, she's moving around, we're at 1/60th of a second, I'm probably moving just a little, well, probably not, I can see the background's kind of stationary, but she's moving. And so I get this shot, and I don't know, it's got movement, it's got emotion. I like this shot a lot. I think it looks better this way than if it wasn't blurry. This is nice. And then this is kind of like magic, don't you think? It's like magic. Man, look at those eyes, look at that. And I'm going to give you a little Ed Verosky technique here, and I'm sure everybody does this, but you know, I don't know. This is how I do it. My direction here was, okay, I want you to just be quiet. Like we've had all this fun, we've been goofy and stuff. Now be totally quiet, be totally serious. Just look down, and then I say eyes, okay? And that means just your eyes, look up at the camera, right? And so we get that to that. Okay? So yeah, I think this one's really nice. The eyes are so important. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, I tried different presets with this one to begin with, and let's see. That's pretty nice. That's my my Blow preset. I think I got that idea from the movie Blow. There was something about this look that reminded me of that movie. And then there's, let's see, what was the other one I liked? I liked, that one's pretty nice too. That's my Platinum preset. I think I liked my B-movie preset for this. Let's see. Yeah, I like this one too. I think that one is really cool. And I'm just going to bump up the contrast just a little so you can see what that looks like. Always adjust your presets. You don't have to just go with what you're given. Make some changes. Make it your own. All right, let's move on to the film photos now. That's really the reason why I wanted to do this whole photo shoot in the first place, to, you know, shoot some film. So we're gonna go ahead and look at those now. All right, this was shot with the Bronica SQ and its standard 80mm f2.8 lens. Beautiful camera. I love to shoot with this. You know, I've been through my ups and downs with this camera. Look back a few videos and you'll see when I first got this camera I had some problems with it, some light leak problems. I bought this used down at Precision camera here in Austin, Texas, and had some light leak problems at first, but they fixed me up right away. So anyway, I was using Kodak Portra 400. All right, now this camera's fastest shutter speed is 1/500th of a second, and I knew I was going to have to use a fast shutter speed, you know, with the Portra 400 speed film. And the only thing left to determine was, well, what's my aperture going to be? I hope it's not too small. I want to play with the depth of field a little bit. I don't want everything in focus, behind Diana here. So this camera does not have an internal meter built in. It's just fully manual. So I took a little meter reading with a phone app that I have. I think it's called Light Meter, the Light Meter phone app, and I got a reading, general reading of about f9 for the 500th of a second and 400 film speed. So f9. I looked at my camera, I looked at the situation, I said, you know what, I'm going to go with f8. In the shade, I went as far as f5.6, I believe, for some of those shots. Now, like I said, these are the first shots that we did, and the digital shots came after these. Now, I've got one roll here, 12 shots. I picked out the 9 that I like, and I'm going to show those to you. There were 3 others, and they were kind of where I had Diana standing sort of in the middle of the field and spinning around and dancing, but those didn't really come out right, so I'm skipping those. Those would be throwaways. They were fun to shoot, though, and that's part of the thing. Even if some of the photos that you shoot don't work out, to get that energy going, to get the body moving, that's always important. Even if those aren't the pictures that you're going to use, that vibe can make its way into the rest of the pictures, or into the pictures that you do shortly thereafter. All right, so we started under this elevated train track that I was talking about before. There was lots of sun, so I wanted to use this structure. I wanted to use the shade under this structure. And I also, wanted to use the sunlight for backlighting, for hair, at least for some of these shots. The ambient was pretty good, as you can see, and this is actually the first shot that we took, the first shot of the day. All right, so the nervousness I was talking about before that people will have before a photo shoot. Now, I knew there was a lot of nervous energy when we first got together, when we first met up at the park. When you haven't worked together before and you don't know what to expect from the other person, and then when you don't have a plan, set up, you don't have like a mood board and all that preparation that goes into a lot of stuff. You don't have that set up. You don't really know what to expect at all. So there's going to be that unknown factor. So I took the time to discuss my general thoughts about what we should do, and it was just basically my message to her was, hey, just have fun, just be yourself. Let's make some pictures. They're going to look great. You look great. All that helps build confidence and build trust, and once you get the ball rolling, then things will usually just fall into place. And in this case, I knew that we were going to get some good shots, so I said, let's just do it. And on that note, let's just look at the rest of the pictures. All right, so on this first one, you could see that I had her standing in the shade, out of the direct sunlight, but at first there was no, you see this hair light up here, these highlights in the hair and on this side. We were standing so far underneath the shade that you didn't get that. It was just shade. And so I said, why don't we try to keep most of you in the shade and just kind of move you back a couple of steps? And then, I explained to her we were going to use the sun to sort of highlight her hair. And so that's how this came about. So first shot. Then we angled her a little differently. This is second shot. I really like this picture. I posted this up on Instagram, the first one of this shoot that I posted up on Instagram. Something I really like about this, there's an ease about it. There's just a cool quality, good eye contact, a little smirk. I stepped back to get a wider shot for this one, and then we went over to that picnic table that you saw earlier, and this was the first shot at the picnic table. And I said, I don't know, we were just having a conversation, and I shot a couple of frames while we were talking. Her husband was there on one side, Deidre was shooting some footage on the other side, and so, she was looking around conversing with us, and I thought, that's a good time to get some photos. Stepped back a little bit and got this. I really like the way that these lines flow out through here. These are like perspective lines, and this would be like the vanishing point over here or something if this were a drawing. Just a fun photo. This portrait is really good stuff, don't you think? Look at these colors, just nice. Here she is conversing. Okay, now this shot, if you've shot enough film, you'd be able to tell right away that this was underexposed a little bit because it's a little flat, and when the negative is like this, you're going to bring up the exposure a little bit and you're going to get a result something like this. And usually you're going to get a little more visible grain too. But I really like the look of this shot just the way it is. I like the way that this turned out. Then you have another one which is more properly exposed, something you'd expect the colors to look this way. This is a pretty nice shot too. I wish I would have taken more of this actual look because, you know, we've got the hair right here just under the eye. I wish that wasn't there. If that had been in a different spot, that would have looked pretty nice. Hey, I'd love to get your comments on the photos that I showed you today. Not necessarily the film versus the digital argument, but, you know, just comments on the images themselves. Leave your comments in the comments section below. And as always, I'm going to ask you to click the like button to let me know that you liked this video. If you haven't already, go ahead and click subscribe. That's about all I have for you today, guys. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. You rock. I'll see you next time.